G'day and welcome back to Derriere Farms, where today we're doing another how-to video. This time we're looking at how to compact your silage bunker as quickly and efficiently as possible. Because it's definitely not the same as Farming Simulator 19, where it was all about the weight. Now, if you're into how-to videos and learning how Farming Simulator 22 works, make sure you are subscribed to the channel because I publish how-to videos at least once or twice a week. Now, for some of you, this video may be moot because there are production facilities being released as mods now, which produce silage in the same way as factories produce flour. You dump in X amount of grass or corn, basically chaff, and you get X amount of silage out. However, the downside is that these facilities are limited to X amount of production per hour, so you don't get it all done at once. The one I looked at, I think, did 1,000 liters an hour, so you would be looking at 24,000 liters in a cycle, whether that cycle be a 1-day month or a 10-day month. And we'll get into how production cycles work in a separate series. But as you can see, we have almost 500,000 liters of silage here, or chaff at the moment, which will be turned into 500,000 liters of silage. And once this is compacted, it will take roughly 1 day in game. So if we have this compacted by 4 o'clock today, it will be fully fermented and ready to go, all 500,000 liters, by this time tomorrow. So I ended up with 500,000 liters of chaff from my last silage video, where we looked at whether grass or corn was the most profitable way to make silage in Farming Simulator 22. If you haven't watched that video, go ahead and watch it. I'll link to it. Because it's not the same as it was in Farming Simulator 19, and the results might surprise you a little bit. Okay, so a little bit of background here. Like I said, I filled this bunker with chaff as part of that video series. In another video, I had also done the small pit over at the main farm by the house on Aubé-Laurent to see whether harvesting grass 4 times a year had better results than harvesting 3 times a year. And for that silage bunker, I just used my regular tractor, my 7R, with a leveler on it, and just drove back and forth until it was done. It wasn't a very big silo, so I didn't think too much of it. Then I came over here and I used, because I didn't want to keep driving back and forth, I already had the 8RX over here, so I just brought over the leveler and leveled the silage clamp. Once it was leveled, I kept going back and forth to see, well, to compact it. Speaking of leveling, if you don't know how to level a silo, I will go over that quickly at the end of the video, or a bunker, because this is not a silo. But I will go over that quickly at the end of the video. And if you have specific questions you would like me to answer in future videos, please leave a comment. It gives me more ideas. rather than trying to figure out what you guys have questions about, depending on your knowledge, of course. Anyway, I wasn't too happy with the speed that this was compacting at. So it got me wondering, what's the difference between 22 and 19? If it's all about weight, then the 8RX, which is several tons heavier than the 7R, should be compacting faster than the 7R was. And then I realized they had introduced this beast, the Prenoth Agri-Power leveler, to the game. So I decided to buy one of those and try that out to see how that worked. My theory being, maybe it's not just about weight, maybe it's about surface area as well as weight. As you can see, those tracks are probably a third wider than the ones on the 8R. But I didn't notice a huge difference. It was about the same, which surprised me, because this is about half the weight. It is 8 tons versus 18 tons for this, not including the weight of the leveler. So let's take a look. We're at 55%. I'm going to drive this up and down twice to see what we get to. So we're at 59 from 55 on 2 up, 2 down. Bring that to 60 just to keep it easy. So 2 and a bit. Brought me to 60%. I don't know why it dug in, because I had the bunker perfectly leveled. See, this one's not going to dig in like the other one did. 61, 62, 64, not quite. 64, and we'll get it to 65. Okay, so it took an extra pass with this one. Surprisingly enough, that's not a huge difference considering the weight difference. Yes, obviously the extra weight of the 8RX helps. Then I realized there are these levelers specifically designed for compacting silage clamps. As you can see, when I picked it up, they weigh quite a bit of weight. So let's see if this makes a difference. So 2 passes instead of 2 and a bit. So yes, it makes a little bit of difference. Now, the problem I have with this is I don't know if it's bugged or if it's not intended to go on the back of this vehicle, because there is no PTO hookup on the back. You can see the PTO's flopping wildly. I can press the V key all I want and it doesn't lower it. So, I'm guessing that's not designed for that. Sorry, I don't know why I turned that off. Whereas hooked up to a tractor, I can lower it and I can actually turn it on. I don't know what turn. I wasn't paying attention to what I started with. Now it's created quite a bit more drag. But it is definitely making a difference. Now, is that weight or is that the mechanics of the compactor? Remember, in 19 they only had levelers, like I said, and it was all about the weight. So the heavier the vehicle, the quicker it went. I'm going to lift this up and turn it off. And now we're going to take a look at weight. This is a mod I downloaded. It is not available on Mod Hub. I had to go to one of those other websites to get it. And it weighs 52 tons. So it is just over twice the weight of the John Deere. So we're at 80%. '83, '84. And back down should bring us to 87. So in two pass, well, an up and down pass, this definitely did more for compaction than the 8RX or the Prenoth. However, it didn't do as much as I thought it would, based on the fact that it's twice the weight. We didn't quite get twice the compaction. We got about 2/3 more compaction. So weight plays a role, and obviously the compactor plays a role. So I'm going to drop that there for now, and give me 1 second. I am going to try one more vehicle. So I'm going to try this beast, the John Deere 9R, with dual wheels on it. It weighs 27.7 tons, and it's going to weigh an extra 2.9 with the leveler on the back of it, so it will be about 30 tons total. The reason I'm curious about this is we already know from the backhoe that weight helps, but I'm more curious now about dual wheels. Houston, we have a wee bit of a problem. Thank goodness for power lift. Let's see what it does by itself. We're at 87, 88, 89, 90, 91. So it did 4% in a pause up and down. So about the same as the Volvo did. Now this is such a tiny thing. Why would you put it on the back of? I don't know if this is specifically meant to help big tractors out or if it's meant for little tractors. But we'll do a pass up and down and see if we get any better. B, B. $94.95. $98, $99. Well, might as well finish it off. Okay, so that was once we attached the leveler to the back of it, and it's this one here, the silo compact, sorry, not the leveler, the silo compactor. It compacted faster than it did just by itself. Yeah, it's got a working speed of 3 miles an hour. I should have used this. They all have a working speed of 3 miles an hour. This one's the heaviest one, and for some reason it's also the only one. Well, the other ones are all hydraulically operated. This one you have the option of power takeoff or hydraulics. Don't think there's a difference between how they work that way. But the conclusion I draw from this is it's definitely surface area times weight. And then if you add a leveler, that works even, not a leveler, a compactor, that works even better. So if you are on a smaller farm and you can't afford a great big tractor like the 9R series, and this one works really well, I would imagine works just as well because the weights are pretty much the same. The Case Quad Track, yeah, 24 point some tons. I wouldn't use this one because we now know that surface area matters. So I would say the one to use would be the wheeled AFS Connect Steiger. Horsepower doesn't really matter because, as we can see, cycling through, it changes the amount of depth and stuff, but it does not change the weight of the engine. Well, one does. So the very smallest engine has a slightly lighter weight to it than the heavy engine does, but for the most part, all the other engine settings are the same. The Versatile is lighter, so it would work because it's got the quad tracks. So, like I said, going back to the fact that if you're on a smaller farm where you can't afford a big boy like this, use whatever you've got. Take it to the workshop, add dual tires, so you'll have 8 tires total, front and rear, and then make sure you buy the compactor, and you will probably be able to level that pit in about half the time you would if you had just regular wheels on there and add the compactor. So my conclusion is that surface contact area matters, as does weight. Combine those two and you have the most efficient way to compact your silage bunker. Speaking of leveling, for those of you that haven't done it before, I promised you I would show you. It's very simple. By the way, I like these U-shaped pits much better than I do the other ones. See, this is why I keep calling them silage or bunker silos, is because they fall under the silo category, but they're really just a silage pit or a silage bunker. See, these ones is not going to let me place it, but the problem I find with these ones is you have to approach them from both ends, and you have to make sure you don't push too far to one side or the other. Whereas this type, with the rear to it, you can push it right up against the back. And you just gently raise your blade as you go, and it'll push it right up to the back of the pit. And as long as you're gradually raising and lowering the leveler, you will get a fairly nice even. You can see I'm leveling it slowly. I'll raise it there. And see how it pushes against the back of the pit. And that's all there is to it. So the trick is put your blade at the right height, and as you start going up, compensate for the front end of your tractor raising by lowering the leveler slightly. And you've got a nice working ramp to work upwards. If you've ever watched videos of real farmers dumping their chaff into pits like this, basically you have one worker in something like that. The tractor pulls up here, or the trucks are becoming popular too. They pull up, they dump here right in front of the silo, the pit, and then this just lowers and pushes it up. It's just one constant fluid operation. Now, the other thing, and I'll show you in a second, the reason I like these is because we've got it pushed all the way to the back. And guess what? I'll turn on my flashlight. We don't have any spillage. Back at the main farm, with this type of pit, when I filled it with grass and started to try and take some drive over the top even once it had fermented, well, you'll notice there was quite a bit of spillage. This is only part of it because I used the front end loader with the buck rake, to pick it up and put it in the pit before fermenting. And you've ended up with spillage out the front, and you can't really see, but yeah, you end up with a peak in the middle as opposed to everything being pushed. So that's why I prefer this type of bunker to the other type of bunker to this type of bunker. I just find it that much more efficient. In one of my next videos, for those of you that haven't used them, I will go over how to use the various belt systems in the game to load and unload items. I hope you found this video useful. Like I said, please go ahead and subscribe to be notified when my next video comes out. And if you have specific questions, please leave them in the comments. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.